So, I finished the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, and I learnt nothing. Zilch, nada, diddly squat. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad book, but I'm saying that it's pretty much exactly what's wrong with business content these days. You see, it sounds smart, it feels deep, and it's incredibly quotable. But then when you sit with the content and then you ask yourself, well, what do I do now? You realise there's basically nothing. So look, Naval Ravikant is clearly a super successful guy. He's the co-founder of AngelList, which is a huge company that connects businesses with angel investors. He's like an early investor in so many amazing tech giants. I'm talking Twitter, Uber, Notion. He's done really well for himself. And he's known for his thinking on wealth and happiness. So his journey started off in around 1999 when he co-founded this company called E-Opinions, which is like E-Opinions. It was essentially a consumer review site. So it did super well and merged with Deal Time, which then in turn became shopping.com, which then had its IPO in around 2004. But then there was some drama with the VC firm and he ended up suing them, basically saying that they value the company at too little. So then him and his co-founders ended up with shares that are worth absolutely nothing after the IPO. So in 2005, he ended up suing them and they settled, and it's all a bit murky. But it was about 2007 when I think he became into his own. So he created this VC fund of his own called Hitforge. And I guess he was still bitter from the merger that he felt that he was pushed into and didn't really want. So he started his own $20 million VC fund essentially. And that's where he started investing in those early tech stage startups. And this is also when he started his blog called Venture Hacks. And it wasn't until around 2010 when he co-founded AngelList. So the issue is not Naval's credibility. The dude is clearly legit. He's got loads of experience. But the thing is, this book is essentially just a collection of tweets, snippets from his podcast, and quotable fun ideas. And it's become one of the most recommended business books out there, which is why I read it in the first place. And I think this is exactly the problem in entrepreneurship right now. Right, so reading this book, it did not feel like a book. I mean, do you know what it felt like? Scrolling social media. You know, the content that gets loads of engagement. It sounds profound and kind of makes people feel super smart when they consume it. But then when you take a moment and you pause and you look at the content and you ask yourself, okay, so what is the point of this content? You start to realize there's actually not much. And just for context, just so I can give you some examples, here are some of the things that he has as really profound knowledge. So for example, it's like play long-term games, okay? Find specific knowledge, sure. Seek wealth, not status. Okay, cool. But how? There is so much content out there now that is just so generic and fluffy and just mildly motivational, but it doesn't actually help your business at all. Look, founders love it. It gives them that temporary sense of motivation and they feel that boost to go do something, great. But actually, this is not good in the long term because they're then not given any actionable insights of how to go out and do those things. They're not sure where to start, what to do. And so there's no action taken at all. And then that ends up with these feelings of uselessness. So a lot of people love this book, not because it's actually useful. No, they love it because it makes them feel intelligent. It's easy to highlight, it's easy to quote, and it's easy to just repost on your own social media. It's more like intellectual aesthetic rather than practical advice. And somehow we've built an entire culture around this. So this is what passes as business content these days. And I just think it's bullshit. They're not showing real breakdowns, real decisions that have been made, real trade-offs that you have to do in your business all the time. But instead, it's these philosophical takes, these clear one-liners, and advice of people who have already made it and forgotten the struggle it took to get there. They talk about their journey with all the messy reality just stripped out. So it looks so easy to get there. It looks effortless. It looks like, just think better and then you'll succeed. But that's dangerous because people consume this and think they're learning something. But actually, they're not getting closer to building anything at all. So what's missing is the messy middle. The stuff where things go wrong, where you really, really learn stuff. The stuff that I'm trying to talk about on this channel, the mistakes that I make all the time so that you don't have to make those mistakes too. And if you want to hear them, then please do like and subscribe and check out my other videos, because I am so transparent about the business mistakes I've made and all the lessons I've learned and the things that I would do differently if I was starting again so that you don't have to make those same mistakes that I made. Entrepreneurial content now is all about the successes. It's all about how easy it was to get there because he just had 3 simple steps and a formula that magically just happened overnight. It's not like that. Business content absolutely should show the things that work, but it should also show the things that don't work. And oh my God, there are a lot of them. They need to show the parts where you pick the wrong thing, you waste time, you make bad decisions, and you have to adjust to everything that went wrong. Because that's where the real learning happens, not in perfectly crafted quotes. Because only showing the successes completely misleads founders as to how difficult business really is. Naval Ravikant basically made out like it was super easy to be wealthy. Like, he had no struggles along the way. He created a business and his path just went like this. There was no messy up and down, which we all know is true in entrepreneurship. The only struggles I've ever seen him talk about is that he's a son of an immigrant. And then he hangs on to that like it was a really difficult thing that it positioned him in a state of disadvantage to begin with. But he was moved to New York City. And then he went to an Ivy League school and then went to Silicon Valley after that. I mean, he was set up with every tick box for entrepreneurial success, but yet somehow that's his most difficult thing that he's had to face in entrepreneurship, which I just do not believe. So I think that this content is actually really difficult to relate to because most other entrepreneurs have real struggles in their lives. And yes, Naval Ravikant is a very successful entrepreneur and we should totally learn from his success stories and what he did right. But he also needs to be transparent and explain some of the things he did wrong, because I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of things that he did wrong. So if you're currently trying to build a business, I want you to change the way that you absorb content. After reading something, I want you to ask yourself a question. It's not, did that sound smart? Or do I feel inspired? But it's, can I actually apply this? Because if you can't, it's not useful. It's just content. And we already have enough content online. We are absorbing far too much. We need to be more selective about what we actually consume. It shouldn't just be fluffy and motivational, because that stuff can backfire, as I said earlier. And there's genuine research to prove this. So when you consume content that feels insightful or productive or somewhat motivational, you get this little dopamine hit. And that makes you feel like you've done something, you've learned something, but you haven't actually done anything at all. And that's called a false sense of progress. And psychologists have shown that when we feel like we're making progress, we're actually less likely to take action afterwards because we feel like we've already made progress, so we don't need to take action at all. So when you read his fluffy quotes like saying, find your unique edge, or remember to think long term, then you think, okay, great, I've learned something. And your brain actually says, okay, nice, I'm improving. But nothing actually changes. And then there's research around cognitive fluency. So the easier something is to read, the more we think we understand it, even when we don't. So the clean, simple, quote-style content can feel really powerful, but it can create this illusion of knowledge without any depth at all. And over time, that becomes a problem. Because instead of doing the hard work, making decisions, testing things, getting things wrong, you end up consuming more and more content that makes you feel productive. But in the end, it's just distracting you. So it's not even just that this content isn't useful, it's that it's actively slowing you down. Which is why you need to be really selective about the type of content that you consume. Because not all insight is actually moving you forward. Some of it's just making you feel like it is. So, I don't think this is a bad book. In fact, it's really appealing. That's why it's everywhere and recommended by so many people. But appealing doesn't mean effective. And do you know what? I think books like this have pretty much shaped an entire generation of founders who basically sound smart, supposedly think deeply, and just share quotes, but yet they still don't know what they're doing. So if your biggest takeaway from a book is a sentence that you can repost because you think it sounds profound, but is really just fluffy, then you haven't really learned anything at all. But if you feel that this video actually taught you something useful and you want more advice like this that will help you and genuinely move your business forward, then please do remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.